Today's video is on why you should avoid living in Salt Lake City, Utah, unless you can handle these 13 facts I'm going to share with you. So I'm getting after it right now. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Greg Spackman. I'm with the Living in Salt Lake City channel. So if you want to learn everything about what it's like to live here, eat here, sleep here, play here, then click the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I do new videos. I've been getting a ton of people that are reaching out to me about moving here to the Salt Lake City area, and I absolutely love it. So if that's you, please give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to chat with you more about your journey here to Salt Lake City, Utah. So the 13 facts that you're wanting to know about. Well, fact number one is the outdoors. And while this is a pro and a con, if you aren't one that wants to spend a ton of time in the outdoors, then you're missing out on a lot of things that Utah has to offer, from all the national parks that we have here, to all the hiking that you can do, to the waterfalls, to the reservoirs, to camping, to boating, to fishing, fly fishing, mountain biking, snow skiing, snowboarding, just everything that you're going to be able to do in the outdoors. If that's not something you're wanting to take advantage of, then Utah may not be the best place, just because it has so much of that to offer and it's so much fun. The number two fact you're going to need to know is Utah has really good public transportation. We have something called the track system. We also have the front runner train. We have buses. We have Uber and Lyft. We have some other rideshare opportunities. You can get around in most cities using one of those sources of transportation. And so that makes Salt Lake City itself a great area. It does go into Utah County and does go north as well. And so you can get around here really, really well. There's talks right now about having a train go all the way to Las Vegas and into Boise, which would be amazing if they could do that. Then you could do that instead of having to drive. You could just ride the train and use the Wi-Fi and just chill. And that would be awesome if they would build that and then make it. My other thing on that would be they should make it high speed so you could get to Vegas in, about half the time. So like 2.5 hours would be definitely doable on a train. And so that's number two, the public transportation. The number three fact you need to know is the friendly people. So moving here to Utah, to Salt Lake City, you're going to run into some of the nicest people that you've met anywhere. Generally, as a whole, Utah people are very, very nice. And everybody that I run into is generally nice. Every now and then I'll run into someone that isn't, but they could just be having a bad day, or they could just be one of the jerks and one of the people that isn't nice, because not everybody is, but generally people are. And a lot of that, I think, stems from the fact that roughly half the population here is of the LDS faith. So if that is you, you could share in the comments below what you think about that, if that's why people are friendly, or it's just people in general in Utah. And Utah is full of nice, friendly people. The number four fact you need to know, and this could be a con, this could be a pro, is the weather. It's one of the things that I really like about living here in Salt Lake City is the weather, because I moved from Nashville and I got tired of the humidity. So I absolutely do not like humidity, and it could be the fact that I grew up in Southern California, and so I'm used to it not being humid, it being dry and nice out every night and every day. So it doesn't feel like when I walk to my car, I need to get a shower again like it did in Tennessee. So that part of the weather I really, really like. From right now, this time of year in mid-May through October, mid-October, that's my favorite time of year, because it's warm enough outside that you can go do whatever you want to go do. And I love to go fishing. I love to go hiking, camping, boating, playing on the reservoirs where we take our paddle boards and kayak and do that sort of thing. And that is a lot of fun. We go to some place called Deer Creek Reservoir. It's my favorite place. It's about 45 minutes away, and it's amazing. So it just depends on what you like for weather, but I don't know how you wouldn't like the weather here. I know that it does get cold, and this year we had more snow than ever, but everywhere did. California got more snow than it's had in years. So this winter was not a normal winter, from what I'm told. It happens every so many years where we get this much snow, but it never had that much snow around where we live where it was a problem. So just know that it can snow here, and the negative for the weather for the winter time this year was it was just cold every day. And my son was working at the movie theater and at In-N-Out Burger, so I'd have to pick him up, and I'd be picking him up at midnight, 1 a.m., and it's 20 degrees, 15 degrees outside, and by the time I would get to pick him up, the car would finally be heated up, and then I could enjoy driving home, but on the way there, it was pretty chilly in the car. So that was that part. Spring, it's in springtime now. It is really, really nice out. The trees are starting to get all their leaves back. The birds are buzzing around. It's awesome. I can't wait for it to get a little bit warmer, but it's still nice out, 75, 80 degrees, which is amazing. And it's not humid. Fall time of year, you're going to be able to see all the leaves changing. We have some of the best leaf color changes, however you want to say that you're going to be able to see. You can go out to the canyons. We did it last year. My wife was blown away. I did it the first year we were here, and I thought it was amazing. So we'll go to a different part this year, but some of the leaves that turn golden are just amazing, and then the other ones are awesome too. I haven't been to a great place to see the colored ones change, but the golden ones we've seen, and there's like 1 billion people taking their family portraits and that sort of thing. So know that there's going to be traffic. It'll take you an hour to do like a 5-minute drive, but it's definitely worth it. And so that's kind of the weather here. We don't really have any sort of natural disasters per se, although we can get earthquakes here, I've heard, and we can get flooding, but it hasn't done that as far as I know. I don't know when the last time they had any sort of earthquake that was a problem. So that's weather. And one last thing to share with you about the weather is it will rain some days, like for 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the afternoon, and then it just rains just enough, and then the wind blows, and it blows dust and dirt that gets on your car. So you're going to probably end up living here getting a pass for one of the car wash places. So that's why there's so many car washes here. And then in the wintertime, you're going to want the car wash to at least run it through once or twice a week to get all the salt off your car, since they heavily salt the roads during the winter. But that's definitely just a little tip just to get a car wash pass. I would just try out the different ones around where you're purchasing and find out which one does a really good job for your car, because they definitely do a better job at some places than others. The number 5 fact that you need to know, and this is something I didn't even research when we moved here, but Utah has a really low unemployment rate. So you're definitely going to be able to find a job. There are still places hiring, but we have one of the lowest rates in the nation. I think we're ranked number 6 right now, but it fluctuates between 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 every year based on where we're at. But there are definitely places to get a job here. We have an amazing tech sector. We have something called the Silicon Slopes that's here. And so you're going to be able to find a good paying job that is in the Salt Lake or Utah County, most likely. And so that's the tip. Fact number 5 is the unemployment rate is really, really low here. So you're going to be able to get something for work. Fact number 6 is Utah is very, very family oriented. And that has a lot to do with the fact that 50% of the people are of the LDS faith, and they are very family driven. So you're going to find people with 4, 5, 6, 12, 15 kids, and they all have the vans and that sort of thing. But you're going to find that Utah is very family focused, and we have one of the youngest populations in the entire United States, and mainly because we have so many kids here. So just know that Utah is very family focused and family oriented. Number 7 fact you need to know is the air quality here can be terrible. So at certain times of the year, the air quality here is some of the worst air quality in the entire nation. And it has a few different factors in it. One is California typically has their forest fires every year, and all their crap gets blown to us. So that causes an issue. We also have something called the inversion layer, and that happens typically November, December, runs through March or April. So if you do have some sort of breathing problems, asthma, that sort of thing, you should definitely come and visit here and see if you can deal with that. Talk to your doctor, that sort of thing. Just know that air quality here is not the best, and it's not really due to population, but we do have mountains to the one side and mountains to the other side. So when the wind comes and blows, it blows everything away. But when it's not windy, then kind of this stuff will get trapped there and cause some unhealthy air quality. Fact number 8 is one of my favorite things, actually, but it can be a negative as well, and that's in Sundays. On Sundays here, you're not going to be able to go buy a new car, so you don't even bother shopping. We do drive through the lot sometimes on Sunday just to look at new cars. When we were trying to buy, before I bought my Jeep, we were doing lots of research and driving around, but you can't buy a car on Sunday here in the state of Utah. So just know that. Other businesses are closed on Sunday. Chick-fil-A is closed where you're at on Sunday, so you're aware of that. But a bunch of different businesses are closed on Sundays, which can be a problem if you're wanting to shop for certain things. The flip side of Sundays is half of the population typically doesn't shop on Sunday. And so when you're out and you have to go shopping for things that are open, you don't have to deal with half of the amount of people out. So there's less people on the roads, there's less people at the stores, that sort of thing. The negative to that would be sometimes when you go to the grocery store on a Sunday, they'll be out of things or haven't restocked things because everybody that shopped Friday and Saturday that bought everything because they don't shop on Sunday can be an issue. We just found that Wednesday or Thursday seem to be our better shopping nights. I'll typically go 7, 8 o'clock at night and do most of my grocery shopping at that point because there's less people and they have all the shelves are stocked. So that's something that you should know about Sundays. And it really wasn't something that was on my radar that there might be places closed on Sunday and why can't I buy a car on Sunday? But you just deal with it and it's not really that big of a deal. The number 9 fact that you're going to need to know is the housing prices and in Utah in general are high. We don't have cheap housing anymore. Everybody has been moving here and relocating to the Salt Lake City, Utah, and it's just driven up home values. I think we're like one of the 4th highest areas to buy, but a typical home is going to be anywhere from $450,000 up to a couple $1 million. I would say like an average home is somewhere in the $500,000-$600,000 range. If you want something a little nicer than that, then you're in the 7s and 8s and then up from there. So it just really depends on which city you're picking. And that's one of the things that I help you with is once you kind of give me your budget, then we will look at the different cities so that we can place you there. And then we just need to know what are the things you plan to do, whether you plan to hike and boat and camp and that sort of thing. Do you want to be close to that? Do you want to be able to do a hike after you're done with work for the day, since it doesn't get dark here until 10 p.m. at night, that sort of thing. But you wouldn't know any of that stuff, and I can definitely help with that since we moved here 2 years ago and we moved to the wrong area first. So I want to stop you from moving to the wrong area as well. And that's kind of the housing market here. It's a little slower than it was last year. Last year, you would have had to have, gone above asking price, waived a bunch of different things. Now we're getting closer to where most properties are selling at asking or slightly over, or even if it's been sitting a while, then you can definitely negotiate and get a good deal. So it just depends on what city you're picking and that sort of thing as far as the housing market, and definitely your budget as well. The lower the price, the hotter the market seems to be here. And so that's housing prices. Number 10 thing was just something we were talking about last night when we were out driving is the terrible drivers here. Awful drivers. They drive way too fast here, drive erratic, don't signal, just change lanes out of the blue. They will drive around you when they shouldn't be. And we just have really poor drivers here in the state of Utah. I don't know if people went to bad driving school or just where they've moved from. They brought all the crappy drivers here, but you have to learn to drive defensive if you aren't already a defensive driver, and make sure that you are aware of where cars are around you and that you're definitely driving what speed you should be driving. And one of the things about Utah, like when you start to go south, the speed limit's 80. So really that means it's 90 on the freeway. Most people seem to drive that fast. And so if you're not driving that fast, then you're holding everybody up. Know that we don't have some of the best drivers. The number 11 fact on the list, and this is something that I didn't like until recently, so it took me almost 2 years to get used to the grid system. And by the grid system, I mean the numbering, the way that they name the streets. So just as an example, it could be 10,000 east by 1,000 south. Instead of something like, this such and such boulevard or this lane, you're going to have the numbering. And well, once you get used to how that works and operates, and then people can tell you the street numbers and you can pinpoint pretty much where it is. And now I've been getting better and better about that sort of thing. And then when they're like 10,000, then they call that like 100th Street. So they will drop numbers from that. And then some people will call it 10,000 and some will call it 100th. So just know that they're going to do that. And that's kind of what that means. And when you first get here, it'll be confusing. I just used my Apple Maps totally to get around. And now I'm getting better and better where someone mentions the coordinates and I can pretty much tell them what's near that now and where, and I know how to get there. So that will be a plus at some point for you. But initially it isn't great. The number 12 fact you're going to need to know is Utah's landlocked. So depending upon which state you're coming from, then that may not be an issue for you. But if you were used to having the ocean to one side of you, we don't have that. It's just we're surrounded by all other states. And I don't really think it's a big deal, but it's just a fact you should know. Number 13 fact on my list, and this is something kind of cool, I guess, or something that could bother you, but we have a ton of cookie companies here from Crumble. Their headquarters are here. There's 6 or 7 different, I think there's 6 or 8 different cookie companies that are here. So you're going to find your favorite one if you're a cookie fan or brownie fan. My favorite cookie place is a place called Twisted Sugar, and that's in Harriman. But that's my favorite cookie of all the different ones. And then they have a ton of soda companies, and you're going to have a ton of those to pick from. And basically what it is like Starbucks, but a drive-through where you get your flavored soda. So they have every different flavor that you can get, and they are just as busy as Starbucks. So it's not quick to go and get your soda. It takes you a few minutes, 5-10 minutes to go through the drive-through, but you can get, a ton of different flavors of your soda, which is a super cool thing. And so those are my 13 facts. If you're still interested in making that move to the Salt Lake City, Utah area, please reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to talk to you more about your journey here to the Salt Lake City, Utah area. And until next time, be rad.